Hey guys, it's Talomik here with DNB Academy, and today I wanted to take a quick look at filtering and where filters fall in your effects chain and how that will kind of impact your sound and when you'll want to have them maybe in the middle, at the end, etc. So kind of more intentional placement of filters in your effects chain. To summarize, so we'll take a quick look. I've got this bass sound here. Yeah, there we go. Kind of squelchy bass sound with quite a lot of movement to it. So we've got the effects chain here. I've kind of minimized everything that is the creation of the sound. If I take off everything towards the end of the chain, so you can just hear what it sounds like. I'll turn it down a bit. So that's what it sounds like without any of the filter movement. Just basically a very distorted saw wave Reese. Cool, and so we've got the filtering here, and I'll go through the filter movement on its own and then why it's in the middle of the effects chain, and then we'll look at this low pass at the end and why that's at the end, and I'll kind of move some stuff around to show you. So we've got 3 filters here. We've got a bandpass filter, we've got a notch filter, and then another bandpass filter. The bandwidth on the 2 bandpasses is different. The first one is a 12 dB slope. The second is a steeper 24 dB slope. The reason is that I don't want to cut all the sound off too early in the chain. So the reason I've got these stacked up is essentially just to create as much movement as possible. So we've got this first one without. So it's kind of carving that sound out a bit more. The notch kind of just scopes and focuses that sound a bit more. And then this final bandpass, which adds quite a lot more movement. It's worth noting as well that these aren't automating dependent on one another. So the automation on each of these is very separate. They're not all moving together or moving in any deliberate way relative to one another. And the automation for this would have just been trial and error. So what I've done basically with these filters, to come back to our original point, is I've carved the sound right down. So we've got a very full spectrum sound. If I bring up, give me a sec. If I bring up span and put that there for now, without the filters, see it's very, very full spectrum, quite flat. And there we go, we can see that we've taken so much of the top end out, we've kind of carved it, and it moves from these sort of lower mids down to the low end. We've basically just carved out loads and loads of frequencies there. So by doing that, I then want to put that in the middle of the chain, not at the end. If I have that here at the end, then our sound has lost a lot of its like oomph and its power. We can then use its position in the chain here to then add things like OTT, you can see here. So multiband compression, distortion, other sort of single band compression, any noise generation, etc. after those filters to essentially bring back that top end, but with all the movement from the filters. So if I just bring OTT in, for example, you can already hear, so off. It's bringing a lot of that top end back. There is also reverb on here. The reverb is just an ascend. I've noticed I haven't pointed that out. And then, sorry, I'm scrolling all over the place here. We've got trash here. Isotope trash is really good. If you've not got it, Isotope do it on sale for like literally like $5 or whatever. It's super cheap and it's so good. It's a multi-band sort of wave shaping distortion. What I tend to do with this is some light drive in the bottom, a little bit of sort of saturation in the mids, and then much heavier fuzz or like overdrive distortion on the top end. So that again brings a little bit more back, and then we've got this really heavy sort of soft clipping going on here. You'll notice the needle's not moving, there's no compression going on here, I've just got the soft clip on. And then this multiband again. So we've used these filters to carve the sound down, take a lot of that kind of brightness out, and add our own movement to that sound. And then whenever we're doing this processing after those filters, that movement is still present in the sound. You can hear that already, right? If again, I'll have to turn this down, but if I take these filters out, or even, it's just super bright, or even if I say move this filter to the end, there's nothing there, right? Like, it kind of still feels hollow, so it's got to be in that place. So again, conscious placement of your filters. Even if we take this chain and maybe put it halfway through our filter chain, it sounds fine, but it's not quite as good, right? There's still a lot of that kind of hollowness to the sound. So yeah, again, conscious placement. We've then got this filter here, which is just a low pass, just automating up. So we want to carve out those frequencies. We want the sound to kind of ooze in. Is that the right word? I don't know. Kind of like pulse into our mix. Obviously we've not got a mix around this, but so we don't want a huge full spectrum sound. We don't want that big bass. And so having a filter at the end to kind of soften it in makes sense contextually there. Again, if I put that before the whole chain, we'll have too much brightness. Versus, it's a subtle one. To be fair, it's more subtle than I thought it would be. But if we move span to the end, versus, you see there's a lot less high frequency content having it this way around. And that's important, right? Like contextually. So yeah, we've, just to quickly summarize, we've got our bass sound. If we have filter movement going on the middle, whatever that may be, you don't have to copy my filter movement. That could literally just be a low pass with an LFO on it or something, right? But taking those frequencies out and then driving and distorting and everything else to bring some high frequencies back, but with the filter movement accentuated through that processing. And then having something at the end just to kind of tame the sound a bit. Again, if you were like adding a separate sub, you might have some high passing going on over here as well. But yeah, consciously thinking about where you're putting your filters and why you're putting them there. Hope that makes sense. Any questions, let us know, and I'll see you in the next one.